Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. In this video I want to do an update on the orchids that I have in bloom in the month of, let's say February, even though it's almost done. So here in front of you you have a gorgeous No ID Cattleya. It is the one which produced some buds directly from the cane after it was mature without a sheath, which is highly unusual. This is the suitable, and as you remember, it had many buds, but as I said, I do expect some of them to blast, and this is what happened here. But the color, it is so gorgeous, and I hope that in this light you are able to see how many sparkles the bloom has. It is a magenta color, and the lip is so gorgeous. I adore it, but the scent is overwhelming. It's like hyacinths and some other orchid like scent. It is very powerful and beautiful. Unfortunately, this is a no ID. I have purchased it last year from Secret Garden here in Romania. As for the orchid itself, it did adjust very well in my environment. Of course, it is potted in a semi-hydro in a self-watering pot. When I have purchased it, it did not have any roots, but at first it produced these very small pseudobulbs, then these ones, and then it produced this one here and the next one, which was bigger, and of course it did produce a beautiful bloom. Now this is a cluster bloomer, and as you can see, it is a rather big orchid, a very tall one actually. And but what I mean by cluster bloomer, it is that it usually blooms with 7 or 8 blooms, so it doesn't only produce 1 or 2 or 3, it produces like a cluster of course. Yeah, I really hope that you can help me ID her. So if you have any hints, please leave a comment down below. Now, this is one of my favorite Cattleyas right now. The shape is gorgeous, and the texture is just perfect. A gorgeous one, guys. Next, we have here the Phalaenopsis Harlequin with 3 blooms. There we go. This one always has some blooms opened, and after this one's fall it is going to produce some more buds. It is very healthy here, and this one is growing in water culture. As you can see, it is producing a new spike and a brand new root here, and inside the water, of course, I have algae. I'm going to try to show to you. But the orchid doesn't mind it. Now, usually I am not keeping the water so high, but now I wanted to hydrate a bit more the roots. Now I am going to dump it out down about here actually. You can see that it does have some very nice root tips here inside the water. You can see the bubbles of water, of oxygen actually, so it's a very healthy orchid actually. And now it's back to its health, because for a long time it didn't had many roots, but after I have put it in water culture, it did seem to started to get more and more health. Now, as you can see, I do have a lot of growing root tips, aerial ones, and the ones that are growing inside the water. So it is a very rewarding orchid. Now I see here the tip is starting to die back, so I might just completely cut this branch. And actually I think that after these 3 blooms will fade, I'm going just to completely cut off the spike, so I give it a fresh year, a year where it can become very sturdy and healthy, because even though you might not believe, growing these gorgeous blooms again and again for a very long time, it can draw some energy from it, and I just want to give it more chances for the next year to produce a far more rewarding display. Now I am in love with these blooms because they are so large, and the white is so beautiful, and it has so many sparkles, guys. It is so beautiful, and today we have such a sunny day. I just missed the spring actually. Next, here we have the Dendrobium green elf with, I think it's the last spike that is going to have for this season. It is a very tall orchid, but I'm not sure what happened with the last suitable. It got these really bad spots, black spots, which then were followed by the yellowing, and in the end by the collapse of the leaf. So I'm going to cut off these leaves because they are sick, and I wanted to say that this is not caused by any insects, so I don't have any pests, but it might be a fungal or a bacterial disease. So I am going to cut off the leaves and see if the next suitable is getting like this again. I'm just going to see what's inside the pot, and if I have too many dead roots, then it might be because they produce of course a lot of bacterial activity, and if not, well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to check it out, maybe apply some bactericide. I'm going to see. Now until then, these last blooms are very fragrant and extremely beautiful. They smell exactly like honey. And here we have this gorgeous Phalaenopsis, which is, as always, in bloom. Very rewarding one, and I have more buds. Quite a happy one, growing in semi-hydro. Here inside the balcony I have this cacti plant. Not very sure how it is called, but look how many blooms it has produced for me. It's very beautiful right now. And this one also said that it wants to bloom out of season. Okay, here we have the Phalaenopsis brilliantina, very beautiful. It bloomed quite profusely this year, and it's quite fragrant. It smells like roses, and it's growing in semi-hydro in a self-watering pot. I adore Phalaenopsis orchids, especially because they have this waterfall on the lip, and because they are so fragrant. The Oncidium Lazio, it's getting out of bloom, but the thing is that I wanted to produce a video last month about this one, but something happened here, and I needed to resolve some things in my life, so I'm going to check it out, see if I deleted the video by mistake, or if I still have them. I'm going to post that video. I'm going to merge it with this one, but at the end. Here we have the Phalaenopsis Cleopatra growing so beautifully in semi-hydro, in water culture, sorry. I'm a bit disappointed by the spike though, because it produced initially only 2 blooms, and then look, it decided that it wants to push up more blooms, and here again. So I see a pattern. Here they only produce a few blooms at a time. Not very sure why. This is the Cattleya Hawaiian Splash Water. It's getting out of bloom, but if I find the video I'm going to show to you. I had a total of 3 buds, if I remember correctly. Very beautiful one, but it is not fragrant, though it is a very small orchid, so I really recommend it. Next, here we have another Phalaenopsis, which has a lovely pattern with a lot of orange and red and purples. Very gorgeous one, which bloomed quite nicely for me. I still have more buds which are going to open. Another no ID with only one bloom, but a lot more buds to come. This comes from a cake actually, which is kind of getting ready to be detached and put in watercolor and maybe find a new home. This is the lovely mini Phalaenopsis which my mother gave me. Very beautiful with those purple stripes on a white background. A lot of blooms, of course. I really love small Phalaenopsis. But I also love this gorgeous Phalaenopsis which my boyfriend gave me a few years back. It's the Phalaenopsis ivy, as we call it. So many blooms and so beautiful. Here I have some branches from the Phalaenopsis Leodoro. And here I'm going to try to show to you, it's starting to bloom the Cattleya, which I have received from Corina. Hoppa, sorry. I'm going to put it in the next month's Orchid in Bloom video. And now we are going to go in at my offices and show to you what's in bloom there, because some of the orchids which are bigger have been moved there. And here we have one of the offices where I work. So here in front of you it is the Phalaenopsis Magic Art. In this place she receives only artificial light, and same is this beauty. This is the Phalaenopsis Sogo Vivian, and she actually enjoys this light because I have seen she continues to produce new buds from the tip of the spike, and her leaf still does varigations, and you can see that when she did not have enough light, the leaf was normal. So yeah, I think she is happy here. Up above I have this plant. I am not really sure how it is called, but you may help me ID her. But you may help me ID her. Really pretty one. Here I have a cacti plant, and as you can see she is full of flowers and of buds. Now I have just moved it from my balcony here, so I do expect some bud drop. I'm not sure if these ones will develop or die, but I think she will be happy under this light because we do have 3 very big lamps there. So yeah, some hyacinths, some narcissus I think they are called, and this little plant here. Here I have some Phalaenopsis orchids which actually do not belong to me but to my co-worker, and this one is rather happy in this media, though it does not have any drainage holes, so I'm going to help her a bit the next few days, but as you can see she is rather happy here. And this one does have a little spike there, and she is producing some roots, so this might be a very good time to repot her. The media does seem rather broken down, so it is kind of the time, but she is also producing a spike. Now Phalaenopsis orchids do react pretty well when they are repotted, so I might actually do this pretty soon because it is spring already. Here I have another of the Phalaenopsis of my co-worker, actually these two. This one does have some good roots, but the leaves are rather small. I think she does hate the media. It seems very, very broken down, so I'm going to repot this as well. And it does have some spikes with no growing tips, so I'm going to wait for her to produce some new roots from the base from here, and that would be the perfect time for me to repot the orchid. Here I have a Phalaenopsis which is in bloom actually, very pretty one. I think that she received this one quite recently, so yeah, we are going to let her adjust a bit to the environment, and when she is going to grow new roots, she is going to get repotted. This is the BC Maikai. I have received it about 1.5 months ago, or maybe 2, and it was super cold. It had a lot of frost damage. You can see the bulbs, these are shriveled here as well, but it does have some that are alive, and this one does seem okay, and I'm not very sure if the roots are alive or not, so I am watering her about once a week or once every 2 weeks. I don't want to push it too much, and we are going to see if I am able to save it, but I do have my hopes high. And here I have my pride and joy. Let me turn it out. It is the first time this orchid blooms so profusely for me. I'm going to open the flashlight now. There we go. So this is the BLC or the RLC Xingfeng Orange. This is an absolutely gorgeous orchid. You can see this is a cluster bloomer, and I actually have 11 or 12 blooms on 3 spikes. So here, here, and here. These are the last ones to open, and I think she looks really, really pretty. Now this is also incredibly fragrant. It kind of smells like roses, and unfortunately not even my camera does pick up the true color of these blooms. In real life they are really like oranges, and with the red margins on the blooms. They do look quite lovely, as you can see. This kind of looks more like the real color of the blooms. So as you can see, really pretty, growing in a self-watering pot in semi-hydro. And next we are going to go to the next office, and I'm going to show to you what orchids I have there. Here I don't have much space. This is the only window that I can use, but I'm going to bring a few more orchids here because we almost never open this window completely, so I think I might bring a few more that are rather small. And I almost forgot, here I have other 2 plants. Not very sure how to care for them. The one from the left does seem rather happy, but this one I almost killed it because I forgot to water it. It was in my old office, and I am not going really often there, so and she also needs a repotting because the stem of the plant is up too high, and the roots cannot go into the media. So yeah, I think I'm going to do some repotting soon here. So this Phalaenopsis was infested with thrips while I was away from my office because I was studying for my exam, and this is the Sogo Euclidean. I did 2 or 3 sprayings, and then the thrips were gone, so and they didn't spread to any other plant, so I think I caught it early, but you can see the damage if my phone would want to focus, as always. There we go. So some of the tips were munched off by them. You can see a lot of glazing on the spike, a lot of damage actually, but now it's starting to grow again. Here I have another branch, here as well, and here it grew a bit more, so I think there is hope. I also have this orange Cattleya which I'm trying to sell here. It's just too big for me. I moved my Lelia purpurata variety in color, which is doing quite amazing here. It has 3 new growths for the first time, and this one already has a sheath. The last growth that it produced this summer, this one didn't want to bloom. I think I gave it too much sun. The Oncidium Cherry Baby just took a break and didn't want to grow much lately or last year, but now it started again. I have all over new growths, and I think in about 6 to 8 months we are going to have it in bloom, because I know the spikes take 3 to 4 months to bloom, and the pseudobulbs about 6 to mature. So yeah. Also here it is the Hawaiian, sorry, come on. Anyway, I'm going to write the name of it on the screen. All of you wanted divisions from it, but the thing is that last year when I was trying to move it here in my office, I dropped it on the stairs, and the orchid took a toll. Some of the roots died, and the new growths are considerably smaller than the last ones. I am not even sure that it is going to bloom this year, so I am just keeping it here in high sunlight. This is the other Wanda orchid, and unfortunately this is not the real color you're seeing. In real life it's more like an indigo, not like this, but anyway, you can see how nicely she blooms every single time. It blooms about 3 to 4 times a year for me, and it's doing amazing. It is potted in that big bark, and it's doing quite alright right now. It is soaking until tomorrow. There we have a Dendrobium orchid, which is doing amazing. It did had a tag somewhere there. Anyway, it's quite pretty, as you can see, and it's growing just... it didn't produce many blooms, but as you can see, I bought it when it was not the time to repot it, so it is not yet in semi-hydro. This is a gorgeous Cattleya orchid, which I managed to save. It produced this new growth, and I do have some roots. I don't remember the name right now, but I'm going to write it. When I have received it, it had a lot of growths which were cut off, and it did had an available eye but no roots, and the orchid was paper dry, and I managed to save it. As you can see, it's nowhere near the full size of the orchid, but it's going to do okay. Here is the BC yellow bird, which is not doing all that well. I think I'm going to repot it and cut off the old roots which are dead, and see if I can make a smaller division and maybe rejuvenate the orchid, because right now it's quite dehydrated. Here it is the Blue Magic Wanda, and right now it's taking a break. I'm going to water this one as well. I stopped here with the watering, so I still need to water these ones. Here it is the Xingfeng Orange, and 2 weeks after I brought it in my office, of course, blooms. We have 4 buds here, I think 2 or 3 here, and there is another growth here which seems to have 3 or 4 blooms, so it's doing quite okay. The Sweet Chief Orange here, it's as always growing just 1 growth per year, and then just stays like that. It doesn't grow, it doesn't do anything. And here it is the name, it's here, Cattleya Chianti Lodison Summer Beauty. This has amazing blooms, and at home I didn't have I didn't have enough space to give it proper light, and this is why I moved all the big orchids here, and I have a few more in the other room. But let me first show you. We have other plants as well here, looking quite nicely, and here we have a huge window. So we do have quite a lot of light. And here it is a room that we are currently renovating, but it is the same huge window, and it doesn't really look right. So let's look at the orchids. Here I have most Dendrobiums. I moved them here because I don't have space anymore in my house for them. As you can see, some of them are just huge, so I gave the winter rest they need here, and right now I started to water them again because I saw I have buds. This is a rather cool room because we don't do much heat here, just enough to keep them at about 10 to 13 Celsius. And sometimes it does raise up to 20, but not very often. And yeah, they are doing quite okay here. You can see I have some hyacinthus as well, which bloomed, and right now it dried up. So all of my Dendrobiums right now have been moved here. My Cymbidium as well. As you can see, this one actually bloomed this spring, and it's doing quite okay because last summer at some point, as I was not for enough time in my office, no one was watering it and it was very dry, but now it has recovered. I potted it a bit more deeply, so roots are not anymore in the air, and yeah, right now I just water it, and tomorrow I'm going to drain the water from the tray. So here it is, the white Dendrobium nobile, I don't remember the name. Actually, I think I'm going to do an update of them soon, so you know better how I take care of them. So alright guys, this has been the video for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye!